to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is public comment. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please stand and step to the microphone. Public comment will last approximately 10 minutes. This is for comments that are not connected to the public hearings. We'll do that first. Anyone wishing to make a comment that's outside the public hearings, please step to the microphone, state your name, and make your comment, please.
There's a list up there with, right?
That's for the public hearings.
I reside at 11 Kimball Terrace in Hurley. I am here yet again in regard to the drainage issue affecting Kimball Terrace. I'm sure by now some of you are tired of hearing about it, and if that's the case, you should try looking with it. I'm here this evening to have it on public record yet again that no work has begun. As more and more time goes by and more excuses arise, I am at a complete loss as to why this project has not yet been completed after 9+ years. And I honestly do not even know who is ultimately responsible for getting it done. I do know and will say that Mr. Schultes has reached out to myself recently and again states that the Highway Department will not be doing the work. It is a matter of paperwork again holding this project up from going out to bid, easements which I was under the impression were all signed and secured at this point, and a permit that he maintains he still has not received confirmation of it ever being paid for are now the culprits. I asked the board or supervisor or whoever is responsible for this paperwork to please see that it is filed accordingly so things can move forward and go out to bid. I understand that one administration is not entirely to blame, and I am not stating or insinuating such. However, after many frustrating years, my days of just sitting silently and relying on a friendly smile and a handshake for something to be done have come to an end, which is truly sad to me, especially since, as pointed out by one of our board members, it is such a small town. Unfortunately for this board and administration, it is during their tenure that I have become proactive and have explored other avenues such as this public forum to make the situation known. As I stated before, I am not placing all the blame in one place or at one time. I understand it has been accumulating over several years with multiple parties having been involved, but I just ask this current administration to finally be the one to get the project completed and not end up as the others have before. I am open to any and all feedback. I just request that it be through email correspondence. I will not be making my personal email public through this open forum this evening, but I do know that the Supervisor's office and Highway Department both have my email on file. As always, I thank you for your time and effort spent regarding this matter and the opportunity to speak to all of you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Supervisor, if I may. And Mr. Wick, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Andrew Lessig. I'm one of the attorneys for the town. You spoke at the last meeting too, and I just want to let you know, our office is working on this. The easements were not ever completed. Someone had actually authored them, but not actually gotten the correct signatures and gotten them filed. So first things first, unfortunately, is the slow legal process. We actually need to get permission for people on the town's behalf to actually go to people's properties, enter people's properties, and even do work on people's properties. But we are slowly but surely working on actually getting the easement signed and filed right now. So there is,
on that, Andrew.
Yeah.
And, I know it's not supposed to be back and forth, but I just want to say that easement thing has been a couple of years now. So, but thank
I
you
understand.
for looking into that, working on it, and
Yeah.
providing feedback.
Our office, I think we were retained as the town's attorneys in January. So this is new to us. All of the drainage issues that other folks have brought up to us are new to us too, but we are getting the ball rolling on them
Thank you for
slowly.
that, and I appreciate it.
Of course.
Again, this is public comment. Anyone wishing to make a comment that's outside of the public hearings, please step to the microphone.
So, my name's Dave Gutierrez, a lot of you know me. I look at a past board member to the Aniora School that did some great things. People didn't always love what she was doing. She got in there, she did the best she could. I was in community service for 38 years in the fire department. I did the best I could. Whether you're on the town board, on the fire department, school board, highway superintendent, nobody gives you this perfect book that tells you how to do it right, keep everybody happy. When people get into these positions like the town board, they do it out of a love to try to help their community. Janet Briggs was great on the town board. She never went in there with an agenda. She went in there to take care of a community, do the best she could. I see everything that goes on social media. I see the hate that's evolved in our community. And I think that's pretty sad. There was a lot of hate in the fire department and stuff for a while, and a lot of you might not know it, but your fire department has never been the same. Vinny knows that. You know, your town suffers greatly for it. People want to attack the town board, attack this highway superintendent, different people. The way to do that is there's a proper way. You reach out, you establish a line of communication, but shame on everybody in our town that bashes our town board. I didn't vote for our president, but he's my president. People need to realize that, hey, you can change it next election, but all of this banter and all of this bashing people is only hurting all of us. Nobody got on any position to say, I didn't run for a fire chief and be a fire chief for 14 years to say, hey, I'm gonna hurt people. I never joined the fire department to be a fire chief. One day it was dumped in my lap. I did the best I could, and I did a good job. Otherwise, other fire departments wouldn't take me, and I wouldn't be involved in a county emergency management now. Bottom line is people voice their opinions, people believe them, and it's a heartache for all of us. If you don't like who's out there, election time comes, you re-elect them. You don't get on social media and make our whole town the joke of the county. Everyone's doing the best they can. Might not be what you want, might not be what I want. People get in and do the best they can. Little forgiveness, little compassion, and a little bit of work with each other will bring this town a long way. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next person wishing to make a public comment, please do so by stepping to the microphone. Hearing none, motion to close public comment. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. The first public hearing is the corner lot side and rear yards. Before we open the public hearing, I'm going to ask the deputy clerk to read the guidelines for commenting during public hearings.
The purpose of public hearings is to provide the community
Please
with
louder.
Oh, sorry. Okay. The purpose of public hearing is to provide the community with the opportunity to speak to the town board and present comments, information, and documents relevant to this local law. The town board will listen carefully to all comments and will consider them during its further deliberations. All persons that wish to speak at the hearing must sign in and provide the required information to be called. Speakers will be called by the presiding official to speak at the standing microphone at the front of the room in the order that they signed up. If you have signed up to speak, please stay in your seat until your name is called. When called, please come up to the standing microphone to speak. Please address the town board and not the audience. Before beginning your comments, clearly identify yourself and where you reside for the record. If you are speaking for an organization, identify that organization. Please speak clearly and at a measured pace. This will help the town board members to hear your comments and for your comments to be recorded. In the event that there is a long list of persons who wish to speak, the town board reserves the right to place a limit on the time allotted to each speaker. If that is necessary, please bear in mind that any time limit is designed to assure that everyone who wants to speak will have the opportunity, but also that the pace of the hearing will be maintained. If a time limit is established, transferring of time from one speaker to another will not be permitted. Everyone who signs up to speak will be given the opportunity to do so tonight. Please be courteous to your fellow citizens, the members of the town board, the applicant, and its representatives. All comments should be addressed to the members of the town board and not to other persons in the audience. There will be no debate or answering of questions raised by speakers as part of this hearing. Please do not interrupt speakers or engage in personal attacks, booing, or catcalling. Discourteous behavior will not be tolerated and could result in expulsion from the hearing. Please avoid repetition. If a previous speaker has already offered the same comment as you have, when your turn is called, you can tell the town board members that you agree with the comment the previous speaker made without repeating the comment in full detail. This will keep the hearing moving so that all speakers will be given their comments before the evening grows late. If you have any written copies of your spoken remarks or other documents you want the town board to make as part of its records, please be sure to submit those documents to the town board, either at the meeting or through the email supervisor@townofhurley.org. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to open the public hearing on the corner lot, side and rear yards.
Motion to open the public hearing on corner.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone wishing to make a comment about this draft law, please step to the microphone. There are sign-in sheets in the back. Would someone from the front,
Yeah.
from the back, bring up the sign-in sheets, please? Did none? Okay.
Seeing none.
Okay. Seeing none, motion to close the public hearing on corner lot, side and rear yards.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Motion to open the planning board alternates law, reorganization law.
Wait a minute. Don't we want to adopt it? Or we have the board discuss it and adopt it?
Let's do that during the body of the meeting. Let's get the public hearing.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to open?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone signed up for the, please step to the microphone. You'll have a 2-minute, we'll give you a hand raise at 1 minute.
Janet Briggs, 425 Morgan Hill Road, Hurley, New York. I just wanted to say that if you are going to consider alternates for the planning board, as that is one of our most important boards that we have, that the alternates must attend each and every meeting, otherwise they won't know what they need to know, just as an alternate on the jury would be.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to make a statement about the planning board alternates law? Hearing none, motion to close public
Motion to
hearing.
close.
Is there a second?
Yes, I second.
No. We've got the
Take it
sign-in
back.
sheets in the back.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Just give me a minute here.
Got Johnson.
Okay. So before we get started, based on the feedback that the town board received, some significant adjustments were made, and we thought we would just take a few minutes to review those. So a moratorium is, it essentially suspends the rights to obtain certain approvals while the community considers the changes to the comprehensive plan. The objective is to promote community planning values by properly regulating land development and putting certain controls in place. It's a temporary pause. So why adopt it? Communities have adopted moratoriums to prevent a rush in certain instances, prevent inefficient and ill-conceived growth, prevent hasty decisions, which would ultimately disadvantage landowners and the public. 2006 is the last time that Hurley looked at who it wants to be and created the message it wants for people coming here, to consider what kinds of development and businesses it wants, to think about how you protect natural resources but still maintain growth, and how do we maintain what generations did before us that made Hurley what it is today, while still providing for future generations and new people coming here. Legislative intent is to prohibit for 9 months, 270 days, the application for consideration of and approval of major subdivisions, site plan approval, special use permit, on a lot or combination of lots comprising 15 acres or more, or where a project would require land development activity of an acre or more, or where site disturbance is proposed for which a grade and fill permit would be required pursuant to Town of Hurley Code 94.5. So the proposed changes, under the proposed changes, the activities that would be allowed are agricultural activities, minor subdivisions of 4 lots or less, normal building applications for single-family homes, swimming pools, as long as there is less than an acre of disturbance and/or a grade and fill permit is not required. You can still do lot line adjustments or a re-subdivision as long as it's not determined to be a type 1 under seeker. You can still do visual assessments, which is required in the A4. You can still do certificates of appropriateness, which are required in the historic district. You can still do signs that are, including freestanding signs. And you can still get building permits for projects that have conditional approval from the planning board and/or an approved extension of a conditional approval. We'll be unable to do temporarily major subdivision of 5 or more lots, disturbance of more than an acre of land, or applications for new special use permits or site plans. And again, this is connected to the comprehensive plan. So the comprehensive plan will be finalized when these steps have taken place. So the survey we just received late this afternoon, that will be posted tomorrow. That survey will be widely distributed and returned. We estimate 4 to 6 weeks, but it could be a little bit longer than that. Public workshops will be held, the first of which will be scheduled at 6 p.m. on June 6th here. There will also be focus groups, community groups, business owners, PTAs, etc. There'll be personal interviews with some stakeholders to be conducted by the town planner. All of that data will be collated and will be used to create a revised draft. It's a living document that's designed to really be shaped by robust input. Also, the plan would need to be referred to Ulster County Planning Board. It would require at least 1 month of review. And it would also need to be circulated through the town planning board. Multiple public hearings are mandatory during this process. The draft would get revised as necessary, and then finally adoption would take place. And if there are more questions about any of this, the proposed moratorium is posted on the town's website, and please participate in shaping the comprehensive plan by taking the survey, attending the workshops, and taking part in public hearings. In a perfect world, we would have every single resident taking part in the comprehensive plan feedback process. So with that, is there a motion to open the public hearing on the proposed moratorium?
Motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The first person who signed up is Gary Graff, 275 Spillway Road. I will set the timer for 2 minutes, and at 1 minute, we'll kind of give you a hand in the air to let you know that we have a minute left. Okay? All right.
I again appreciate the opportunity. My name is Gary Graff. I live on 275 Spillway Road, and I have about 83 acres over there. That property has been in my family since 1959 when we moved up from New Jersey. So I don't like development.
You talk a little louder, please.
I don't like development. When we moved up in 59, it was a lot different place. And when houses started moving in different places, I didn't like it. But I never felt it right to impose those feelings on anybody else, any of my neighbors in the town. We've had slow development in this town for all those years, and it's worked really well. Our zoning works well. So I don't think, I would not want to impose a moratorium or a restriction on development on my neighbors. As Dean Osterhout pointed out a couple of weeks ago, it harms people in many different ways. So the moratorium, I do appreciate the PowerPoint. That was helpful. I still have a few issues though. Where is the ill-conceived growth? Where is the problem? The moratorium says that it focuses on large-scale subdivisions, but that's not correct. It restricts all land development activity, which is defined as clearing, grading, soil disturbance of 1 acre or more. So that affects all lot sizes, not just the big lots. It says the purpose addresses intense development of unsuitable locations. Where is the intense development? Can you provide us some examples? Hurley, for the most part, is a pile of rocks. I know, I've got lots of them on my property. We deal with it. So I don't quite understand that. If you could clarify that, that would be helpful. It says it's limited in scope. How is shutting down development limited in scope? I think the moratorium is too broad. It needs to be narrowed. It does provide exemptions, which is good, but if they're limited to farming. Now your PowerPoint says minor subdivisions and lot line adjustments, but that is not in the moratorium that I read online. So is that an administrative oversight? I do recall the board informing the town attorney 2 weeks ago to include that. So could you please check on that, because it's not in the moratorium. Again, in my view, this current one is not a substantive change from the one we saw 2 weeks ago. And I would conclude by asking the board for clarity. State the specific problem, explain the exigency, why it's a problem that has to be addressed in this manner. And if the solution, whatever it is a moratorium or whatever, please have the solution address that specific problem. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Next person on the list is Karen Gill.
Hello, good evening. I'm Karen Gill. I live on Ohio Mountain Road. My family has been here for almost 100 years. We're currently 4th generation. I'm here to speak out against the moratorium. I feel that common sense tells me it is unnecessary, unjust, and harmful. So you can go yes or no. A no vote against the moratorium means the town can still go ahead with the comprehensive plan and the existing zoning laws will remain in place. So why is no a good response? Because I drive around the roads and lanes of Hurley and I don't see much has changed in 58 years that I've lived here. And that tells me that the current zoning laws work. If the vote is yes, issues will arise since there are now exemptions and hardship clauses. What legal body is going to decide these exemptions? The town board, the planning board, and who and what qualifies a hardship? And who here has gone in front of the planning board? We know that it's just not one meeting. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And also for the moratorium for the length. Look at the town of Rochester. They started with a 6-month moratorium. They are now at 1.5 years, and that town is paralyzed. Also, if you pass the moratorium, will there also be a grace period regarding the taxes my sister and I pay on our 500 acres of land? How does a town justify accepting tax money on land that you banish into limbo for 9 months or more? Thank you. Why would anyone feel good about paying taxes on land whose universal right of ownership has suddenly and without good reason been chipped away at? And lastly, why can't the planning board just deal with specific projects that might arise during the comprehensive plan revision? I asked for 15 more seconds. Instead of blanketing the entire community with a moratorium. You know, my father, Jack Gill, he sat at your table for 24 years, consecutive, and he had a lot of common sense, and that's why he got elected. And to me, you know, he loved this town, as we do, and common sense tells me that adding another layer of unnecessary red tape, aggravation, animosity, drama, possible litigation is just so absurd when it could be so easily avoided by having a little more trust in the current zoning laws while you do your comprehensive plan. I ask you to vote no. Thank you.
Mr. Green?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you for your service. My name's Riley Green. I live on Mountain View Avenue. I'd like to talk about the moratorium and that I'm concerned about this moratorium from what was presented to prior to what's presented now. The moratorium's invasiveness actually expanded. It's now town-wide, not restricted to specific areas. That's a big concern. Secondly, as Karen mentioned, the town of Rochester implemented a moratorium recently. It was supposed to be 6 months. It's now 1.5 years into it. Per your own schedule for the comprehensive plan, that looks like a year schedule easily. So this will inevitably have to be extended repeatedly. Another point I'd like to make is on April 12th, the town board received from the Ulster County Planning Board a memorandum very specifically saying there's no need for this moratorium. That memo was not referred to when we had the public hearing a week later on April 18th. I'm curious why that wasn't shared with the public at that time, and it's still not mentioned today. And lastly, we have so many lawsuits going on in town, this will inevitably lead to another lawsuit. And that's your tax dollars, my tax dollars, going towards lawsuits that we could have easily avoided. And lastly, I agree with Karen, we have an existing planning board that have been operating per laws that you referred to on 2006. There's no rush. They've been operating more or less fine for this time. Why do we need to change the game? There's no pending large developments. I think the status quo, it's no harm, do no harm, as they say. Don't do anything at this point. Let the process proceed as it was envisioned to begin with. Thank you.
I'd like to remind the town board that that memo was posted on the internet by the public information officer.
Yep.
Next,
It was posted the day we got it, wrong.
Where?
next person on the list is Mr. Gottlieb. We are going to do our best to adhere to a 2-minute public comment period, so you're welcome to come speak. I'll indicate when you have 1 minute left, sir.
Good evening, Charles Gottlieb from the law firm of Whiteman, Osterman, and Hanna, here on behalf of Southern Realty and Development. I just handed a letter that is a supplement to our April submission that has our objections to the moratorium. Specifically, a moratorium can only be enacted in an emergency or a crisis situation. And I see no emergency or crisis situation here. That is black letter law. The revised moratorium still has no evidence of any of this type of situation, yet it's been expanded town-wide. Even the Ulster County Planning Board says that this town board should not adopt the moratorium. they actually state that in the last 5 years, only 20 projects have been referred to the Ulster County Planning Board, 2 of them which may be considered significant. We ask that you please provide the statistics as to the emergency development crisis this town is under. The Ulster County Planning Board also asked this board to increase the list of exempted developments. The town did not. Notably, Ulster County said, please exempt affordable housing. No exemption exists in this revised moratorium. By prohibiting affordable housing during a moratorium period, that leads to discrimination. I also reviewed the town's comprehensive plan in search of this emergency development crisis the town is under. I found none. I found a plan that is anti-development, anti-growth, and anti-business that will only result in increased taxes. Lastly, our office has still not yet received
30 seconds.
information. I would ask for more than 3 seconds.
30 seconds.
I still not received information based on our January 24th FOIL request and our March 15th FOIL appeal for all records and correspondences related to the comprehensive plan. We were promised these documents on April 27th. We still have received nothing. If these documents do not come in time for the public hearing on the comprehensive plan, it will prejudice my client and our comments to this board related to the same.
Mr. Joseph?
I'm John Joseph, and I own the Hurley Ridge Market, or what is now the Hannaford. And through that asset, I pay a considerable amount of taxes in this town. And as everyone's already noted, there's many ongoing litigations currently, and I believe that this moratorium will only lead to more. And I think I speak for more than myself as a taxpaying citizen, that the board should think very carefully and go through the process to not have more litigation expense to the taxpaying citizens of this community.
Mr. Shake?
Thank you and good evening. Umar Sheikh from the law firm of Alfred Kerman, and I represent Arizona Hudson Valley, which has an approved project redeveloping Twin Lakes. The project was purchased by Arizona Hudson Valley in 2018. Construction is only now starting because we've been through 4 lawsuits with the town. Right? And there's a 5th one ongoing in federal court right now. The basis of that federal court lawsuit is that this town is purposefully attempting to halt development, which it is not permitted to do. There is a concerted effort by certain people in this town to stop development. Right? So for us, right, we asked a simple question to the town at the last public hearing, and that question was, are you exempting our project, which has already been approved? What we're planning to do with the property has already been approved, and the amount of disturbance, what we're building, that was all approved by your planning board. It went through your zoning board approvals. We went through appeals. We went to Supreme Court. We won at every single stage. Yet still, this town is trying to stop that development, which led us to then file our federal lawsuit. So for us, this just becomes more evidence in that already existing case. So I asked the town board to seriously consider what
30
it's doing.
seconds.
Right? And from our purposes, it would be simple for just to create an exemption for our project so that there's no concern about that whatsoever. But I recommend to the town, I don't live here, but you guys do. 5 lawsuits over one project that's approved, there's something wrong.
I'd like to remind the town board that that litigation started long before this sitting board was in office. Mr. Bem?
Stop it.
Well, actually, that's incorrect. Out of 5 lawsuits, 4, maybe 3, started before this board was present. But as a matter of fact, there's one ongoing lawsuit, if I'm not mistaken.
What's your name?
Mr. Ben. I'm the owner of Arizona Hudson Valley, which is the old Twin Lakes property. So at this point, I'm just going to echo basically everyone that came up. And more importantly, Mr. Sheikh just asking, what does this have to do with our project? It's a beautiful PowerPoint presentation where now we're talking about no disturbances over 1 acre. We are doing, I think, 11 acres of disturbance, if I'm not mistaken.
There's an exemption for you.
So it's a
on the
perfect,
slide.
so this perfect conversation. So there's an exemption for us. So does this exempt our project as a whole or not?
There's an exemption on
It's
the
not
buil-
clear.
building
So what
permits for
I'm
projects.
asking,
Right there. You're
You've
exempted
received
already.
conditional
well,
approval from the planning
what
board.
we are asking, because it's not clear, and we pay a lot of attorneys to make sure that this is actually clear, is to have a line then in that case saying to have our project exempt from this moratorium. Thank you.
Mr. Mann?
How's everybody doing? I'm Will Mahon, I live at 500 Stone Road. It's tough going last because basically I'm going to re-echo everybody's points. A couple of things to explain to the board so they have a little understanding of it. No project of any small particular house size, 1,200 square foot, can disturb less than 1 acre of land between the septic field, the driveway, the house footprint, and any additional landscape needed to provide working room on a project. So extensively by 1 acre disturbance, you have pretty much deemed all projects in this moratorium. 2, basically going to explain it in a manner that I'm trying to come up with so you guys understand. You guys are kind of like the parents of the town, elected parents of the town. We are the children, if you will. When you have one child that is acting out, you don't make blanket rules and spank every child in the house. Sometimes you do, but you basically want to find the one culprit and deal with it, address it. Find means that don't aggravate everybody else in the town and swat the hornet's nest, because clearly that's what you have done. If you continue to go on this manner, it's not going to work out well. I can't see it going well. As a landowner of a large parcel, I own over 80 acres. It is my right as a landowner, as a taxpayer, to do within reason, what I like to do with my property. If I want to develop it, that is so be it, my choice. I personally bought the property so it would not be developed. You guys got to pick your battles, choose where you're going with this, and I do say choose wisely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone wishing to speak who did not sign up? Is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
I made
Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to rescind the moratorium?
I made that motion.
Rescind. Wait. Table it. Take it out.
Yeah, do we want to do the,
Circulate it now.
to this indefinitely or to a certain date?
To rescind it. To just-
You mean just not to consider?
Right.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to no longer consider the moratorium.
I made that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Thank you all.
Thank you.
You totally killed it. Yeah.
Solar definition next.
I was a little confused about this. You want to go back?
Yeah. Okay. There's conversations, I'm gonna ask folks to step outside into the hall. I'd like to add a couple of items to the agenda, town board. We had,
Good.
There's room up here now.
yeah, there's some chairs open. Okay. So in front of you, you have resolution to adopt local law clarifying corner lots.
Yeah.
Would a member of the town board,
lots.
The corner lot lots.
would a member of the town board read that resolution?
Want me to read it?
Yes, please.
A local law, can you hear me?
Do you want the microphone? I can pass it over.
Amending, no, I don't need it. Amending Chapter 210 of the Town of Hurley Code to clarify the provisions applicable to corner lots. Be it enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Hurley as follows. Section 1, Amendment of Chapter 210. Bye, guys. Chapter 210 is hereby amended by the deletion of Section 210-14 in its entirety and its replacement with the following revised Section 210-14. 210-14, corner lots. For any corner lot, the standards for front yards shall apply to all yards that are adjacent to a street. For the remaining yards that do not abut a street, the yard opposite the frontage from which the lot is accessed becomes the rear yard, and the remaining yard becomes the side yard. Is this clear? For any lot with 3 or more frontages, the standards for front yards shall apply to all yards that are adjacent to a street, with any remaining yard becoming the rear yard. The following diagrams illustrate this provision. Okay, wait, is this wrong?
It's the resolution.
Oh! You gotta listen to me all over again. Resolution to adopt local law clarifying corner lots. Whereas the planning board of the town of Hurley requested that section 210-14 be revised to clarify the definition of rear yard and side yard in a corner lot. This is related though. And whereas the zoning task force has reviewed similar lot provisions in other municipalities in New York State and drafted and forwarded a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 210 of the Town of Hurley Code to clarify the provisions applicable to corner lots, that clarifies section 210-14 without changing its apparent meaning, the proposed local law. And whereas on November 9, 2022, the town board classified the action as a type 2 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5C26 and 33 as a routine administrative action which has no impact on the environment. And whereas on November 9, 2022, the town board instructed the town clerk to circulate the draft proposed local law to the town of Hurley Building Department, Conservation Advisory Committee, Climate Smart Task Force, and Planning Board, and to the Ulster County Planning Board for report and recommendation to the town board within 30 days. And whereas on November 9, 2022, the town board instructed the town clerk to circulate the draft proposed local law to the town of Hurley Building Department, Conservation Advisory Committee. Wait, did I read that part already?
Yes.
Whereas the Ulster County Planning Board responded on December 7, 2022, that the proposed local law had no county impact, and the other agencies provided no response. Really? And whereas a public hearing on the proposed local law was opened on February 13, 2023, and closed on 2023, during which all those who wish to be heard were permitted to speak or submit written documents. Now therefore, be it hereby resolved that the town board of the town of Hurley hereby, 1, adopts the proposed local law as local law of 2023, and directs the town clerk to file the local law with the Secretary of State and with general code. How was that? Was that okay?
Yes, thank
All right. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
That was a mouthful.
Is there, that's the motion, is there a second?
I second it.
Is there a
Thank you.
small potential motion?
What's this?
Can you fill in that blank?
Are we good with this?
We need to add a motion to fill in the blank
Yeah.
of, the public hearing is closed today.
Motion to fill in the blank.
with May 16th.
Yes,
Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
thank you.
You don't need the local law number?
It'll get filled in by the clerk. Any discussion amongst the town board?
No, I think this has been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming.
The diagrams are great, it's much clearer. I hope it helps people.
It's caused a lot of confusion in the building department, so
Yeah.
I think they'll be grateful. Okay, hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? So carried. Okay,
Not going to incur any lawsuits.
or threats?
All right, that's
Okay, so, the next resolution that I'd like to add to the agenda is to, Chapter 45 regarding the organization of the town planning board.
okay.
Are you okay to read?
Yeah, this one.
No, it's this. It's in that stack.
Oh, it's in the stack. Okay. I start messed up. All right, here we go again.
Hang on, hold on.
It's this one. A local law amending the town of Hurley. Resolution to adopt town of Hurley local law number of the year 2023. Local law amending the town of Hurley code to add chapter 45 regarding the organization of the town planning board. Good so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whereas the town board of the town of Hurley has been asked by the planning board to authorize the appointment of alternate members, and whereas New York State Town Law 271 permits the town board to permit the appointment of alternate members of town planning boards to serve in the absence of regular members with appropriate legislation, and whereas the town board wishes to take this occasion to clarify the role, duties, and organizational structure of the town of Hurley Planning Board, hereby enact a new chapter in the town of Hurley Code to delineate the goals, duties, and responsibilities of the planning board, its members, alternate members, and staff, as well as to provide clear guidance for its organization and functions. And whereas a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending the Town of Hurley Code to add Chapter 45 regarding the organization of the town planning board has been laid on the desks of the members of the town of Hurley Town Board and duly considered by them. And whereas on January 17, 2023, the town board declared that this proposed local law is exempt from seeker pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5C26 and 33 as a routine administrative action which has no significant impact on the environment. And whereas on January 17, 2023, the town board instructed the town clerk to circulate this proposed local law to the town of Hurley Building Department, Conservation Advisory Committee, Climate Smart Task Force, and Planning Board, as well as to the Ulster County Planning Board for their respective review, report, and recommendation to the town board within 30 days thereafter. And whereas this proposed local law received no comments from any of the above referrals to any agency or organ of the town of Hurley. And whereas the town of Hurley, of the Ulster County Planning Board responded on February 1st, 2023, that the UCPB did not reach a quorum at their meeting, and that as of the adoption of this resolution, 30 days have lapsed, and the GML referral requirement for this proposed local law has been met. And whereas a public hearing on this proposed local law was opened by the town of Hurley Town Board on February 21st, 2023, and closed on April 18, 2023, during which all of those who wished to be heard were permitted to speak and or to submit written comments. Now therefore be it resolved by the board as follows. Is there more? Switch. But that part still works, right? 1, the board hereby adopts the proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending the Town of Hurley Code to add Chapter 45 regarding the organization of the Town Planning Board as local law of 2023. 2, that the town clerk hereby is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the town code of the town of Hurley to give due notice of the adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State of New York, as well as to the county clerk as directed by the hereby adopted local law, and to take all other actions as may be required by law. 3, confirms that Diana Klein shall continue to serve as a member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board for a term ending December 31st, 2023. 4, confirms that Griff Lewa shall continue to serve as a member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board for a term ending December 31st, 2024. 5, confirms that Dennis O'Clair shall continue to serve as a member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board for a term ending December 31st, 2025. 6, confirms that Carl Bruckner shall continue to serve as a member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board for a term ending December 31st, 2026. 7, confirms that Kathy Kewell shall continue to serve as a member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board for a term ending December 31st, 2027, and shall additionally continue to serve as Vice Chairman of the Planning Board, Chairperson. 8, confirms that Peter McKnight shall continue to serve as a member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board for a term ending December 31st, 2028, and shall additionally continue to serve as Chairperson of the Planning Board. 9, confirms that Deborah Kosar shall continue to serve as a member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board for a term ending December 31st, 2029. I sense a pattern here. Okay.
Is that that's the motion?
That's the end.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Okay. All 4 of us are ayes?
Yes.
The ayes have it.
Okay.
Okay, so carried.
So carried. Yeah, you want a copy too?
No,
That says copy. God.
that's my own issue up there. I put the wrong dates on a few people's terms, but nobody on the planning board is changing. That's the long and the short of it.
Okay, back to the regular agenda. Okay. At the last town board meeting, we closed the public hearing for the change in the solar definition.
Yeah.
Resolution to adopt local law changing the small-scale solar energy system definition. Whereas local law proposed number 4 of 2023 entitled "A Local Law Amending and Restating the Definition of the Term Small-Scale Solar Energy System in the Town of Hurley, Town Code Chapter 210, has been submitted to the Town Board of the Town of Hurley. And whereas the solar definition law constitutes a Type 2 action for the purposes of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, pursuant to 6 NYCRR Section 617.5 C26, 33, and 37, and whereas the solar definition law was referred to the Ulster County Planning Board, which responded on April 12th with an advisory comment, and whereas the solar definition law was referred to in the Town of Hurley Planning Board pursuant to Section 210-64 of the Town of Hurley zoning law, which responded on April 12th, 2023, and whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on April 18th, 2023, during which all those who wished to speak were heard. Now therefore be it resolved by the board as follows. The board hereby adopts the solar definition law as local law proposed number 4 of 2023, and that the town clerk be and she hereby is directed to enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting and in the town code of the Town of Hurley, to give due notice of adoption of said local law to the Secretary of State of New York, and take all other actions as may be required by law. That's the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion amongst the board?
Did someone come before and ask for 15 kilowatts to be that array?
I don't recall that specific
I
request.
thought someone came last week and, last time, suggesting or asking for a 15 kilowatt.
Does the board wish to make any?
No, this is good. It's 12. Yeah.
Or wish to make an amendment? Or make any changes?
Wouldn't it if it's 12?
Wouldn't somebody go to the planning board if it was there, and that's
Well, there is this, section 1 amendment, is this,
Yeah, this was suggested by the planner and,
yeah, this makes sense.
okay. Any, we ready to take a vote, or was there more discussion?
I'm ready to take a vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposing or abstentions? So carried. Okay. We issued an RFP for seal coating of the rail trail. We did receive bids back. We received 4 bids.
Which portion of the rail trail are we talking about?
It's the portion that's in Hurley. It goes up to the Marbletown line. It's the O&W, 209. Resolution accepting bid and authorizing the award of the contract for rail trail seal coating. Wish to actually just inform the board that there were 4 bidders. The first bid was Seal Coating Solutions in LaGrangeville for $21,747.20.
Slow down. 21,000 more.
$747.20. Angelo Stefano Paving in Hurley came in at $25,704.24.
What, Linda, I'm sorry.
25,704. Northeast Paving in Ellenville came in at $24,000. And Ryder Seal Coating in Stony Point came in at $28,160. So under our procurement policy, we are bound to accept the low bid, which means that it's Seal Coating Solutions.
Yeah, I got a question to ask.
Qualified, lowest qualified bid. Unless anyone thinks it's unqualified.
Mike has a question.
Yes.
I'm just curious to know, so this is our portion for our rail trail, all right? Is the rail trail, the seal coating extending to Marbletown too?
Not that, I'm not aware of whether or not
So we're just
Marbletown
doing our
issued a,
portion.
yeah.
Because the thing is, if they were extending into Marbletown, perhaps we can get it.
I don't believe that Marbletown contracts for such things. They do a lot in-house.
I have a question. Who did it originally? What's the original company, do we know?
That built
the rail track?
Well, that did the seal coating
I mean,
on it.
I think I saw that the last time this was done, a number of years ago, it was, I believe it was Northeast at that time. So I'm gonna read the resolution, okay?
Yeah, I won't read it.
Whereas the town of Hurley advertised for bids for the rail trail seal coating for the entire length of the paved segment of the town of Hurley section of the O&W rail trail following the town board meeting on April 18th, 2023. And whereas bids were received at the supervisor's office, Town Hall, Hurley Town Hall, 10 Walmsley Place, Hurley, New York, 12443, no later than 5 p.m. on Friday, May 12th, 2023, with bids to be opened at the town board meeting on May 16th, 2023. To wit, so Seal Coating Solutions, again, was $21,747.20. Angelo Stefano Paving was $25,704.24. Northeast Paving and Seal Coating was $25,000. Ryder Seal Coating in Stony Point was $28,160. I have the bids here for the town board to look at.
I know this isn't probably kosher, and I don't even know if we can. I kind of agree for the difference between the second lowest bid if they were the ones that did it originally.
Stefano?
Northeast paving. I mean, we don't really, I'm not getting a real question, but I don't use it, that one, so I don't really know, but if everybody, kind of asking the audience, if they liked it and we know they did a good job originally, we know what they do. And even for, you know, what, 2,000 plus, we could have the same people that did it the first time if we liked the job they did. I mean, we know them, if that's, but we, I guess we don't really know, so.
Well, we're bound by the law.
Not if we're not sure.
If they're not qualified,
Well, they're seal coating solutions, so I guess.
Qualified.
They say they have a solution to our seal coating, so I guess they're in.
Although it doesn't say that on the envelope, so.
Okay.
The rail trail has to be closed for a day for them. Yeah.
the Rail Trail Committee requested this
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, needs to happen. Is there any issue with just going with the lowest qualified bid?
They have solutions, I say go for it.
I believe we're bound to accept the
Yeah.
lowest qualified bid.
Yeah,
We must.
just gotta, unless you have some very good reason as a board why you feel that the lowest bid, in this case seal coating, is not up to the task, we can't trust them to do it, they've never seal coated before, despite the fact it's in their name, for some reason we can't trust them. We'd have to rewrite the resolution to articulate all of those reasons, otherwise you just have to take the lowest bid.
They provided all of the required elements in the bid proposal, so. So I'm gonna finish reading this. Now therefore be it resolved by the board to award a contract for professional seal coating services to Sealcoating Solutions, 115 Parliament Road, LaGrangeville, New York, 12540, for the amount of $21,747.20 to complete the work called for by the bid documents that were distributed to all bidders and which are filed herewith with all correspondence received from bidders in response thereto. Be it further resolved that the town supervisor of the town of Hurley, or in her absence, the deputy supervisor, is hereby authorized and directed to execute a contract for public work with the above-named firm whom the town board has decided to award a contract to, as stated herein, in a form approved by the attorney to the town, which shall be consistent with the terms of this resolution, the bidding documents, and all applicable laws. That's the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion amongst the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? So carried.
Should we share this with other people too?
And we can pass that down.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question, or it's not time?
We try not to do that in the middle of the
Okay,
meeting.
I
Can you speak to
understand.
us afterwards?
No, I understand.
Pass this back.
You missed out on the bid.
The next resolution is
I'm 25% in Northeast paving, it's me and Paul. Thank you.
to appoint Mitchell Cohen as an alternate to the planning board. Whereas the Town of Hurley Town Board adopted a local law titled "A Local Law Amending the Town of Hurley Code" to add Chapter 45 regarding the organization of the Town Planning Board, which, among other things, will authorize the appointment of alternate members of the planning board. And whereas pursuant to the resolution adopted by the Town Board, which adopted the aforementioned local law, that local law will imminently take effect upon its filing with the New York State Department of State. And whereas the town is in receipt of a letter of interest and resume from Mitchell Cohen, who is desirous of serving as an alternate member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board pursuant to Chapter 45 of the Town of Hurley Code upon its adoption. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Hurley agrees that Mitchell Cohen is a qualified individual who would contribute greatly, and has in the past as well, to the Town of Hurley Planning Board as an alternate member. And whereas the local law adopted by the Town Board, which will imminently take effect, affords alternate members of the Planning Board terms of 2 years, with initial appointments range from between 6 and 30 months. to ensure the terms end with opposite years going forward pursuant to law. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board of the Town of Hurley to appoint Mitchell Cohen as the first alternate member of the Town of Hurley Planning Board, effective as soon as is practicable after the local law providing for alternate members of the Planning Board comes into effect, and as soon thereafter as Mitchell Cohen files his oath of office with the Town Clerk and fulfills all of the requirements to otherwise become a member of the Town Planning Board with a term ending on December 31st, 2024. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion amongst the board?
Mitch is a good guy. He's done a lot for this town. He's very smart.
Amen.
He's done it before.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? So carried. Okay, so this afternoon, we had the deputy supervisor and I met with the highway department. Mr. Bombs was also in attendance. We asked questions of the highway department. We did not deliberate or make any decisions. Town board has in front of it the most recent updated 284 agreement dated May 2nd, 2023. The amount under general repairs is $135,000 for general maintenance and repairs upon 52.16 miles of town highways, including sluices, drainage ditches, culverts, and bridges, having a span of less than 5 feet, tree and brush removal, boardwalks, sidewalks that are the responsibility of the town, emergency activities as such authorized by the town board, and other activities involved with the care, upkeep, and maintenance of highways and bridges of the town. There was additional clarification provided that the projects listed under permanent improvements are in order of priority.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was a good thing to get additional clarification. Our questions were answered, so.
It took less than an hour for us to talk with the highway to suit this, and this is all we've been asking for a while.
Amazing what we can accomplish when we're together in person.
Yeah, so it took less than an hour. We were in, went to a couple, checked them out, had talks at them. They explained, we got great explanations from his deputy, John Wyachek, and Charlie O'Keefe. They're fantastic. And this could have happened a long time ago.
Absolutely, agreed. Resolution to authorize the town supervisor to sign the agreement, actually it's for all of us to sign the agreement, with the town superintendent of highways pursuant to Highway Law 284. Whereas the agreement proposed to the town board by the town superintendent of highways pursuant to Highway Law 284, which is here attached, is 3 pages in length, and which is dated May 2nd, 2023, was reviewed by the board members present on May 16th, 2023, and found to be acceptable by a majority of the board as recorded hereunder. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Hurley hereby authorizes the supervisor to sign in duplicate on behalf of the town board and the town board agreement proposed to the town board by the town's highway superintendent of highways pursuant to Highway Law 284, which in the form here attached, and be it further resolved that the town board members voting in favor, being a majority of the town board, shall also sign in duplicate the agreement proposed to the town board by the town superintendent of highways pursuant to Highway Law 284, which in the form here attached. And be it further resolved that the town board directs the town clerk or her deputy upon the signatures of duplicate copies of the agreement proposed to the town board by the town superintendent of highways pursuant to Highway Law 284, which in the form here attached by the town supervisor, the majority of the town board, and the town superintendent of highways to file in the same in the office of the town clerk and in the office of the county superintendent pursuant to Highway Law 284. That's the motion. Is there a second?
I second that one.
Ah, fine.
You have to duke it out.
I'll third
She
it.
goes for everything.
Is there any additional discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? So carried.
All right, we've done it.
Okay, contract Crawford and Associates for annual water quality sampling and reporting to New York State DEC. Resolution authorizing agreement for professional services, annual water quality sampling between Crawford and Associates and Pace Analytical to be billable to the town of Hurley. Whereas the town board of the town of Hurley has engaged Crawford and Associates Engineering to assist the town in ongoing efforts to monitor and potentially remediate the town of Hurley landfill on Dug Hill Road, and whereas Crawford conducted a bid process seeking qualified subcontractors to assist them in undertaking the annual water quality sampling of wells and water supplies, both and in the immediate vicinity of the landfill, which resulted in 3 formal bids being submitted by qualified firms, and whereas Pace Analytical was the lowest qualified bidder who offered to undertake both field sampling at and around the landfill, as well as analyze the same for the presence of contaminants. And whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town to permit Crawford to engage Pace as a subcontractor to complete the important AWQS work in the interests of the health, safety, and welfare of all residents of the town, as well as the continuing protection of our natural environment. And whereas the town hereby agrees to pay a flat fee of $7,495.40 to Crawford in order to permit them to engage Pace Engineering to assist them in completing the AWQS for 2023 pursuant to the terms of the letter from Crawford employee Kimberly Punchard dated April 24th, 2023, attached hereto, which contain the bids submitted by 3 firms who bid. And whereas Crawford will oversee Pace and direct the work they undertake on behalf of the town, and then review the data prepared by Pace Analytical and provide a summary report to be further invoiced pursuant to their existing contract with the town. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Hurley. 1, Supervisor McVeigh is hereby authorized and directed to issue payment forthwith in the amount of $7,495.40 to Crawford for the work described by the April 24th, 2023 letter of Kimberly Punchard, which shall otherwise be governed by the extant contract the town has with Crawford, and under no circumstances shall any additional contract be authorized without further assent of the town board other than hereby agreed to, nor shall the town enter any direct contract with relationship to Pace, whom shall remain a subcontractor of Crawford. 2, this resolution shall take effect immediately. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion amongst the board?
I have a question to ask you. In other words, they are going to sample the water at the leachate field as well as neighboring wells too?
Yes, that's what we're required to do by law.
Okay.
Annually.
So in other words, if someone has an issue at their well, they will actually come to us and we will sample their water?
Well, yeah, yeah, sure. Member Bombs, the letter that we sent around from Crawford, it lists out the specific addresses, the wells at which are going to be sampled. It's the same ones as last year. It's some of the neighbors in the area, but it's not open-ended. It's not like anybody in Hurley could ask,
Right.
you know.
But what if there's there's issues with some water wells?
We'd have to.
In neighboring areas, more or less.
This is an annual monitoring, and it's we just did this a year ago. I don't believe that we would expect to find anything vastly different than a year ago, and if there were, then there would be recommendations by the engineers. You may remember that we are under in agreement with New York State DEC, and that the engineering firm is actively working with DEC and the town on this project.
And I'd just like the rest of the board to understand this. Crawford did this before.
Yes.
They had a contract with the town to do this before. When their contract expired
In 2013.
in 2013, the town never did another one with anyone else. That's why for the last 10 years, or until last year when I went to them, that we realized that we have not been monitoring anything.
The town was out of compliance for 10 years.
So now we're in compliance. Not only that, we have five new test wells put around where we found that it would help and be more. So we're even extending it and making it more available.
Are we ready to take a vote?
I'm just curious about that 40 cents. Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Peter, for explaining. Yes.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstaining or opposed? So carried.
We remain in compliance.
Yes, we've been in compliance since 2022.
And anyone who wants to know anything about that system, feel free to give me a call. I'll take you for a tour.
Didn't bring any pens today.
Okay, the last item on the agenda this evening, actually not entirely, but the last resolution on the agenda this evening is a resolution authorizing Nelson Pope Voorhees, the town planner, to conduct a highway garage feasibility study. So there's been a lot of discussion about Nelson Pope Voorhees, and I'd like to remind the board that the town engaged the planner in 2019 after interviewing a number of planning firms. Their corporate headquarters is on Long Island, but they have an office in Suffern, and they're opening one in Ulster County. The current planner is full-time with the firm, and she lives in the town of Monroe in Orange County, and she's actually the chair of the planning board in her community. So she's got a vast amount of knowledge, and actually she's expressed interest in moving to Hurley. So
And actually, she was they were unanimously picked.
yeah,
By
the
Mike Bombs, you and I.
the
when we
planning
were on
board, yeah,
Because we interviewed other
everyone
people,
interviewed
too.
them. So
What's the issue with them?
there's just been some buzz about how they came to us and what what their background is. So
Because
I
they're
just
my cousins.
wanted to I just wanted to clarify. There's a lot of stuff out there, right?
She's
So
really good.
whereas on January 10th, 2023, the town of Hurley retained Nelson Pope and Voorhees as planning consultants for the year 2023 in accordance with the terms of the 2022 agreement for professional planning services. And whereas NPV has provided a scope of work and budget to conduct a feasibility study for a proposed location for a new highway garage, a copy of which is on file with the town clerk. And whereas pursuant to section 3.3 of the agreement, any services not included in the agreement may be authorized by the town board upon agreement as to the scope, extent, and approximate cost of the services. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes Nelson Pope Voorhees to conduct a feasibility study in accordance with the scope of work and budget on file with the town clerk. That's the motion. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Okay. Is there any
NPV, quite good. You know, when we first decided them in 2019. There were 4 others that applied, and we were really impressed with what they did.
They're very
They
professional.
were very professional,
Mhm.
and we were pleased, and it was actually the recommendation at that time to make them the planners also. So these are good people.
Is there any additional discussion by the board?
I like their name. No, seriously, no. They're good, they're professional, they'll make it happen.
Okay.
So.
Anyone else on the board wish to participate in discussion?
The only discussion I have, I'd like for them to be kind of explain to them how important we get going on this as fast as they possibly can.
Yeah, I feel a sense of urgency. You know, the highway garage situation's been a long time in coming, and it just, I think that it strikes me, and in previous conversations with the board, I think we all kind of agree that a better approach, rather than hiring an engineering firm to site design and build, is to first determine where the possible locations are on all the town property that we own.
Yep.
And determine the best site for it, so that we don't get tripped up by, potential siting and then finding out that there's issues. I'd rather know about the issues in advance. So this is, I feel, a much more financially conservative approach. Hiring the engineering firm to do that work was $350,000, and this feasibility study I'm anticipating will be less than $100,000.
Okay.
So
we'll save ourselves some grief down the road.
Right.
And
We'll know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposing or abstaining? So carried. Okay. Next item on the agenda is, town board is in receipt of the minutes. Thank you to the deputy clerk who's been filling in heroically, for weeks. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for all
Any
the work
opposed or
you're doing.
abstaining? Yeah, thank you, Annie. You're doing an amazing job. Town clerk's report?
I have no report.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
She's too busy.
You've been
being-
pinch hitting, I understand. Well,
She's doing 3
we'll,
jobs.
Some things that I can't do yet.
no, I
because-
understand. I know you don't have access to everything and all that, so we'll table that for the next time.
Yeah.
Okay. Supervisor's report. So I believe the town board has gotten the financials, and I have created this little kind of overview. See if I can make it bigger. Okay, so I took some time in the last week to do a 10-year look back with charts and graphs. So the yellow bars are the balance in the cash account. The red bars are the unassigned fund balance. That's basically monies that are not earmarked for anything. And the blue is the assigned fund balance. You'll notice that there's a little bit of depletion of the assigned fund balance because we have had to draw from those funds to cover the cost of the leachate collection system engineers and things of that sort. So that accounts for the decline. But it's been actually relatively flat. It's so.
But wait a minute. We have more cash now.
We do have more cash
And we
now,
have more unassigned fund.
and the
than we had
unassigned
in
fund
a
balance
bunch of
in the
years.
first quarter of '23 is up, yes.
Okay.
This is budgeted revenue versus and actual revenue. The red is actual, the blue is budgeted. You'll notice that the budgeted revenue is consistently a lot less than the actual
So we're underestimating?
over years. Yeah, we didn't plan for the increases in
Well, we
in
made,
actual revenue.
some of it was also from the transfer station being realigned and redone.
Yeah,
The revenue has
there's some
skyrocketed,
Quite a bit? Yeah.
almost double.
Also, you'll see, really since COVID, right, 2021, Ulster County was the beneficiary of a lot of influx from downstate, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But that definitely benefited us in terms of the sales tax revenue.
More people, more business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
What?
Yeah. Okay. Sales tax revenue budgeted versus actual. Again, you can see that spike. So for 2023, we budgeted after consultation with the Ulster County Comptroller's Office. We increased the projection of sales tax revenue to $300,000. With that, the county controller feels pretty strongly that we'll see a surplus. And the county is actually going to be increasing the share that towns receive by 1% this year. So we'll be up to 4% of the total haul of sales tax revenue in the county. So this is appropriations, budgeted appropriations versus actual appropriations. You'll notice that for the most part, budgeted appropriations are higher than the actual appropriations. There's a few exceptions there, but not many. So the bar graph is a little challenging when it comes to the first quarter, so I did the best that I could, but I feel like this pie chart will pretty much hold true this year. The 2022 revenue, real property tax, is actually 37% of the total revenue the town receives. and this has been going down. So in 2023, the real property tax total for the town was, I just read it, $826,000, I believe. So that is equivalent to 0.5% of reduction in real property taxes from 2022 to 2023. This $182,000 in ARPA, that's how much ARPA money we used last year, and that was, a lot of that went into the transition for the highway department to get into the new building.
Right.
There were some technology upgrades. This beautiful screen we have on the wall was part of ARPA funds. The state aid mortgage tax, so that's basically mortgage transfer tax. When someone buys a property, there's a transfer tax. We received $250,000 there last year. Garbage and refuse charges brought in $259,277.81. And then this non-property tax distribution is sales tax revenue. So it's $424,966.31. And then if anyone wants the amounts of money for the smaller pieces, I can get that to you. I just couldn't fit it all on this screen.
Safety inspection?
Yeah, safety inspection, it's 5.7%. And that was last year when there was we had some bumpiness with staffing and
We had some
having,
bumpiness.
yeah, some inconsistencies and part-time help filling in and things. So the safety inspection totals at the moment are above what is projected.
So it's gonna go like this.
Yeah. So this is the first quarter balance sheet. That's the balance of the cash account in the first quarter. And the unassigned fund balance. And then revenue versus appropriations. Revenue is more than 1.1 million and appropriations are 691,000. We have a good bit of our spending that happens in the beginning of the year. You know, we get insurance premiums come due and there's a lot of expenses in the beginning, so that amount does slow down as the year goes. And this is a chart of the town tax levy. You'll see it's pretty much remained almost flat. It's been coming down since 2018. I pulled a sample property tax bill for a house, 4-bedroom house in the town of Hurley, slightly less than 2,000 square feet. And the total amount that is paid to the town for taxes is $222 for the year. So the town share is very small. The only thing that's less are the libraries. So the reason property taxes keep going up is that, you know, there's school taxes, they don't go down. And, you know, the other taxing districts, fire departments and things, their budgets go up too, so. But the town taxes stayed steady and is actually declining. So,
I think our town is the only one that actually went down.
most of the other towns went up.
Every-
So I will do a presentation like this periodically. We're still a little bit behind getting information from the accounting firm. You know, it's the middle of May, we just got the numbers for April, so the next time I have another quarter to report, I will do that. Is there a motion to accept the supervisor's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the supervisor's report.
Is there a
You did this in
second?
your spare time?
I second.
Any discussion?
You did a great job.
And that was a well-done job.
Thank you.
And you wanted
All in
transparency,
favor?
you don't get much more transparency than that.
Can we vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So carried. Well, with that, the meeting is,
Well, I just want to ask a question. Have you had a discussion with Akra, the executive, about
I
switching
did.
over?
Mhm.
Because yesterday I spoke to Charlie,
Mhm.
and he's willing to, do the leachate pulls for $130.
Yeah, I'm aware of his willingness. I had an extensive conversation with Greg Olivier, the executive director at UCRRA, and as I indicated in my email this afternoon, the system that is up there has changed dramatically since they were involved in pumping when they informed us last year that they weren't able to accommodate our needs. So drivers will need to be trained and so on. So all of the coordination for the system is going through my office, and I've spoken with Greg about setting up a training with his drivers and things, but we just haven't gotten there yet. We just had that conversation at the end of last week. So stay tuned. We'll be looking at that. It'll likely keep someone else up back up because it's important that we have people who are trained, and there's going to be additional requirements for UCRA now. There's a flow meter. The numbers are going to have to be photographed after every pull, and that will have to be included on the invoice so that we know, keep everybody honest.
They can't screw up.
So there's that. I do recall that there was Gregory.
Yeah, I have, I'd like the board to consider the zero waste solid management system. We, over the last, I think it was last week or week before, we submitted a RFP, a request for proposal for the zero waste solid waste management system. That was posted and is out there. I had some conversations with some interested parties, and they are suggesting we strengthen this document.
Yes. A procurement thing that only really applies to these zero waste things. The state has obviously made some exceptions to the law, made a special law here because they want everybody to adopt these statewide. Part of that was to put out the RFP for a 60-day period to obtain public comments, and then there's a 10-day window in which the board has to change everything that was in the RFP after that 60-day period ends. So I'm not trying to say anything you want to make the motion to change right now in the RFP isn't a good idea.
Fine.
But we've got to wait for that 60-day period to end, and then the town board can consider making that change and making any other changes that anybody puts in with public comments and stuff. It's
does
just
it then have to go back out?
Potentially, we have to look at obviously what we do and what's going to be changed, what you all do. Obviously, I'm just here to help. But yeah, so
that's fine.
I'm sorry I didn't get back to you sooner about this. I had to go back and check the law because the law is very specific to this specific thing we put out the RFP for. But yeah, just put a pin in it, and when we come back, probably next month's meeting, that'll be the time.
Fine. Thank you.
I do have one more thing I want to share with the board. We had voted to have letters generated to bring to property owners on Brittany Drive and Holly Hills Drive and 375 to give Bernier and Larios permission to do a survey on the property. I walked those letters around myself last weekend, and Peter came with me. Actually, he was my driver, so I didn't have to drive and hop out. And so I've received almost all of them back. I think there's 2 that are outstanding. One, apparently the property is owned, I think, by a bank or something because there was a state situation. And then there is a second letter that I don't have back because the gentleman doesn't live here and I'm having a hard time connecting with him. So, but anyway, the rest of them are in my folder. I got the last one today in the mail.
There's some concerns on Easy Street. Is this the same on Easy Street and off Dewitt Mills?
And also Spencer Road.
Yeah, that there's abandoned property.
Does the town
abandoned?
Yeah, it's
abandoned property.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
derelict. It's It's,
I thought you were talking about drainage. There's the drainage issue on Spencer Road, I think.
We're gonna need to go out,
Does the
which we
town-
already have, the
Does the
property
town
people already.
board want to get letters signed to give permission to walk on, to send Bernier and Larios to do a survey on Ohio Mountain
For the drainage?
for the drainage?
Oh, yeah.
God, yes,
Um,
yes.
Heck yeah.
Been waiting for it 5
Okay,
minutes.
can I have a motion to that effect?
Motion to that effect. We're talking about it
Do you
right
got
now.
it? Okay. Is there a second?
I second that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, so we will proceed with drafting letters for the property owners downhill from Spencer Road
God, it's gonna be
to
so
try to
happy.
figure out what's going on there.
That's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Is that all the business we have to conduct? If so, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I just wanted to say something to the audience.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we really do listen to you guys, even though it might be posted otherwise, but we really do. And your input matters a whole lot.
And we all live here too,
Yeah,
right?
so
We're just trying to do the best we can.
I appreciate all the things that you said
Yeah,
tonight.
absolutely.
I learned a lot and I respect it. So, thank
I
you.
think we all do. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Well,
Is there a
before we
second?
do that, I
Oh.
just have one really quick thing. Anybody has any questions about anything, we all know how social media is and how corrupt it can be and what ankle biters out there can be. I think you realize from this meeting, we're willing to discuss anything. We handled the highway department in less than an hour of what we wanted. That was a big beef. We work every day. And I think there's a bunch of you that are even looking around here that are probably quite happy today with what we've decided to do and listen. So, just the people you listen to, just see it's pretty much the same cabal.
My office is open.
Yep.
I'm here almost 5
And you
days a
can,
week.
anybody can call me anytime you want.
There was a motion.
There was a motion to
And a
close.
second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. Schultes, Mr. Schultes, can you step over?
Can I ask a question?
Step a little closer.
Yeah, I got a question for you anyway. No, yeah, you gotta go.